If you treat someone poorly, they're going to go home and treat their kid poorly. That kid's going to go to school the next day and treat your kid poorly. It literally is a cycle. And someone has to stop the cycle and be like, I'm going to treat you like I want to be treated. Like, genuinely do it. Don't just say it. And Aggie, I do just want to say one more thing on that. It truly does pay off. And it's, again, a long game decision. It's not short-term planning, it's long-term. And I've always told my kids the same thing is like, hey, you don't know what somebody went through last night at their house. You don't know their situation. Be kind to everybody.
All right. Welcome to the next episode of Beauty and the Brand podcast. Today we have Suzanne LeRoux, the founder of One Love Organics. It's a small batch natural skincare line that is the only EcoCert certified skincare brand in Georgia, beloved by thousands of raving fans. Welcome, Suzanne. Welcome to the podcast. And I'm so excited to have you on here.
Thank you, Aggie, for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive right in. First of all, you started your career in law and then you founded One Love Organics. What was that reason or that moment that made you take the leap into starting your own skincare brand?
So I was a former transactional attorney. So I just want to make that clear. I helped people in estate and business planning, real estate. So my focus was helping clients think in the future and think long term. So I think that's big in understanding me and the brand is I don't do trends. I don't do anything short term overnight. It's all about the end game with me and being healthy in finances or your skincare, whatever it is. So that's the first kind of thing you have to understand. Then second, growing up, I really struggled with irritable, breakout prone skin, and it just seemed like nothing helped my skin. And my dad is both a pharmacist and a farmer. So he grew up, he bought a farm at 19 years old. He started farming, and then he went to college and pharmacy school at 25 years old with a wife and a baby, which I just think is amazing.
Amazing.
But the point of all of that is that he was really integrated with both nature and science. And so we were both really stumped because nothing would help my skin. And he was really invested in figuring this out for me. We just couldn't. We went to dermatologists. We tried everything in the drugstore, behind the shelf, on the shelf. Nothing worked. In law school, I took yoga classes to help me combat the stress of law school because if you've ever been, it was just as stressful as you think it might be.
I can imagine.
So I started taking yoga, and on one Saturday, they had an aromatherapy class, and the instructor encouraged me to blend plant oils like essential oils and carrier oils and try those on my face. Well, this was back when oils were bad for your skin, right? So I was terrified to do that, but I did it because nothing else worked. And Aggie, it was crazy. It worked. I mean, it worked to the point that I barely even wore makeup to class. I used to be a swimmer, so I was able to go back to swimming and not feel so self-conscious when I got out of the pool. And for me, it really is a game changer. Like how you feel in your own body and in your own skin is just night and day. So I practiced law for 5 years. Didn't love it. Didn't love it. You're stuck behind a desk all day doing super meticulous research and planning and analysis. And, after 5 years, I stopped to have children. I stayed home with them until they were 3 and got in preschool. And so when I was thinking about going back to practicing law, my husband said, hey, why don't you try your skincare thing? Like, just try it, which was kind of almost laughable because try it where? Like, I need to go back to 2008, 9. This is when this was. There was no Instagram. Facebook was just when people were throwing up a few pictures of their kids in marital status. Like, so, but against all odds, we did. I thought I would just have like a fun Etsy shop or something. I never did make it on Etsy, but
well, you went way farther than that. Than Etsy. I actually have a few questions about this because you mentioned, first of all, no wonder You mentioned long game, you don't do trends, you don't do short game. I actually love that. I like knowing about the trends, but I'm not big on trends either. And I think if a trend is happening and your idea, your product, your ingredient, whatever it is that you have happens to fall into a trend, amazing, great. Like, let's take advantage of that. But I'm not someone who's like, let's chase the trend. So I totally agree with you on that. But also, you said that you were trying these different oils on your skin in college. So can you actually tell us which particular ingredients you were trying on your face when you did that first mixing and you saw that it actually worked? What were those ingredients?
I tried coconut oil, jojoba, and sunflower seed oil. And coconut is probably my favorite. Jojoba is next, and sunflower was third. But I love them all, so they were all so great. Just that point of contact with your skin and the melting of the coconut oil is just so delicious, and it made my skin so soft.
And then that would you say that, when your husband finally said, okay, Suzanne, why don't you try that project, like that skincare thing that you were doing? What did you do first? And then what did you do second?
So I had been playing with the formulas for quite some time for my family. So we had the Skin Savior Balm, which is what we launched with and is still always in our top 3 bestsellers. And it's a multi-purpose product that the whole family can use. So we've had it dermatologist tested for ages 3 and up. And so it was just a nice way to kind of clear our vanity of all the junk and just use one thing for moisture and soothing irritation and all of that. And then I worked on the what's now the EU serum. So just a nice moisturizing oil for your face. I still prefer oils for my face. And then we had Brand New Day, which was a powder scrub and cleanser, which is now morphed into a cream scrub and cleanser.
And those were the first 3 products.
Those were the first 3.
That's incredible. Would you say, and you mentioned like the Skin Saver Balm is still like hero product?
No, our Botanical Bee Cleansing Oil is definitely our hero product, but Skin Saver's always in the top 3. But our Botanical Bee is somewhat of a phenomenon.
Yeah, it is a phenomenon. And doing all the research that I did on the bee cleanser, it's amazing how like thousands of people talk about it all over the internet. Like outside of like the normal places that you would talk about skincare products, I feel like it's like such a iconic cult status product. Okay, so you started the line. You came out with these 3 products. Where did you go to sell them first? Like, did you set up a website? Did you go, like, what was that first? Paint me the picture of what that first year looked like.
I do love this story because so after much heartache, I mean, do you remember, has anyone out there tried to set up a website before 2010? There was no Shopify. There was none of these out of the box solutions. So you had to hire someone. Everything was custom. It took us, 7, 8 months and just pulling out your hair to start a website. And then you open it up and it's like crickets. It's coming to your site. And you've spent all this time and all this money. And that was frustrating. But, I didn't know anything about sales and marketing. I still don't know back then how you would sell and market. There was not advertising. There was not Instagram. There was not all the things that there are now. So I hired a small PR firm out of New York and went up there. And one of their PR people sent Rachel Zoe a Skin Savior Balm. And this is when she had her Bravo show.
Yep, I
And she
remember.
had the Zoe Report, which featured one product a day. So she featured that on the Zoe Report. I didn't know. She didn't let anybody know that she liked it, was writing about it, anything. We just sent her a sample. And then a month later, our website crashed. We got like 1,000 orders in an hour.
Wow.
Yes.
That
And
is
you just have to
phenomenal.
understand, I am a one-woman show at this point, and I get in over 1,000 orders for Skin Savior Balm in about an hour, and that honestly recouped most of the money I had put in the brand till that point. So it was literally like a Christmas miracle. And then once she did that, retailers started calling, and that's how we got sales to begin with. So thank you, Rachel Zoe.
Yeah, thank you. So basically press, and then you got into retail.
Yes.
And what was that like? Like, what was the first sort of retailer that you got into, and what was that process like?
Cute little spots. Like we have one in Telluride that we still work with, and
That's amazing.
just little cute little spas that had reached out to us that were fans of Rachel Zoe's. No major retailers at that point.
And that was what the first year looked like. Do you know do you remember if you broke six figures in that first year?
Oh, I definitely do remember. And yes, we did just from that one,
That's
just
so
from
amazing.
that one thing. So,
That's
yeah.
incredible. Would you say that Rachel Zoe in that time is the same akin to, like, let's say an influencer, that if you're a partner with an influencer that was, speaking to the right target customer and, shared about a product, would you say that would be like a similar comparison now for nowadays?
I don't know because it was just such a new frontier back then. Like a couple of years ago on the Harper's Bazaar Get Ready With Me, Haley Bieber did show that she was using our Botanical Beet Cleansing Oil as her first step in her Get Ready With Me nighttime routine. That
Amazing.
was probably the second biggest game changer that we had, and lots of renewed interest, lots of sales, but nothing quite compared to that. Because I think back then there wasn't all the stuff on the internet. There wasn't all the influencers. There wasn't all the information. So there wasn't all the competing for the attention. Rachel Zoe said this is the product and people bought it.
Right. That's fantastic. And I think it's interesting. Did you end up circling back and doing like celebrity giftings as a result of that?
No, no, because most of the time, and Amy, you know this, they have to be paid to mention you. So you can send them whatever you would like to, but usually they're in a contract with L'Oreal or,
Yeah.
so
Any of the big guys.
yeah. So it usually, because we have one great celebrity who I won't mention, but she loved our stuff and even purchased our stuff, but she couldn't mention our stuff because she was in a contract. So she ended up saying she loved to use the cleansing oil on her hands and feet because that's all
What?
she could say. And
Stop.
that's not really helpful. So, I would say in general, these celebrities have got their own deals going on, especially after some of the more well known ones have blown up. They all want in on that. So I do think just a genuine mention today is rare.
It is a lot harder, especially with, like, to your point, celebrities, they have their own brand deals. I know with, and influencers too, they have their own brand deals going all year round, right? So it can be tricky, but wow, what a breakthrough moment.
Yeah, and what an innocent time. I just look back and there were no influencers. Nobody was paid to do most of this. It was just genuine, like, hey, I found a product I love.
Right. Oh, I love that so much. So, you've been around since 2010, and over time, as we've just mentioned, obviously it's gotten a lot more crowded, a lot more competitive. What do you think has been the secret to your brand's longevity?
So honestly, amazing products. We source, formulate, and manufacture every single thing in house. That's so rare, as you know. That's, one in a million brands, honestly. Know in the industry like I do. So we can really vouch for our quality, and there's no middleman. So we have very attractive pricing for the quality of the certified organic products that we make. And then we've always vowed to offer amazing customer service. So just our equation was outstanding legacy products coupled with amazing personalized customer service. We're from the South. I'm down here on a barrier island off the coast of Georgia. We're in between Savannah and Jacksonville. Everybody always wants to know where we're from and where this accent's from. So, so we just try to treat people with the Southern hospitality with amazing products. And that's it. There's no gimmick. That's the secret sauce.
Tried and true. Tried and true. Like doing, what it is? It's doing what is, almost what you're expected to deliver on, not trying to, like, to your point, do all these gimmicks, but like just delivering on what you said you would deliver. Like whatever the promise was, you deliver on the promise. And just doing that really well is the secret,
And
is
it's
what I'm
enough.
hearing. Yeah,
It's enough. If people
absolutely.
this is funny, but we go to trade shows and we go to trade shows to meet with packaging suppliers or ingredient suppliers, paper box people. And we always laugh that they're so busy getting the business that when you call them, they can't even follow up with you because they're out traveling around getting business, not taking care of the business.
That's true. And that's a constant challenge in business, right? Is finding that right balance because there's some people that do so much caring for the business that they're not getting new business enough. So they're not getting enough, new people coming in. And then vice versa, you have people that are just getting new people in, but to your point, are not servicing, to the highest of their ability or capacity because they can't. Because it's like, and spread too thin, I guess. So tell me more about EcoCert, and getting your manufacturing facility EcoCert license. Actually, side tangent, since you are, end to end produced in Georgia, you probably will be in you will benefit from that coming into 2025 because of the tariffs that I'm hearing might be implemented for anything that is imported from overseas with the new inauguration?
Well, it's going to affect everybody until we can start figuring out how to make more glass in this country.
That's true. Yeah, the glass
We're going to have
one
to
thing.
order from somewhere because
Mm-hmm.
we don't. And there's a few places, and we didn't even anywhere near meet their minimums. Like we order in 10,000, pieces per SKU, and they were like, "Oh, I mean, we're more like at 1 million, and we export most of it to Europe anyway." And I know, so I have not had any luck. So anyway, long story short, the tariffs are probably going to affect everybody
Yeah, that's true. And
until
especially the glass.
until someone starts making that glass.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a push. Anyone who's listening to this, by the way, if you are a glass maker or you have the skills to become a glass maker, listen up. This is a white space for you to go into. We just did another interview earlier today where we were talking about this very same thing about the glass and how the glass is the one thing that has to be imported. And so, business idea for anyone who's listening. Tell us more about the EcoCert licensed manufacturing facility. What inspired you to take that step? It's a big leap, especially for a young business. You're bootstrapped your business, right? So that's a big investment, a big undertaking.
It was and it still is. It's huge. I say all the time that if I see anything with a EcoCert Cosmos on there, I trust it completely. It's the hardest thing that I've ever done. Both my husband and I are attorneys, and sometimes we're just like, geez, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go figure this out. It is a lot of work, very intricate, but we chose it because the green and natural beauty business was just absolutely booming in like 2013, 2014. It was really coming into its own. People were seeking it out. And I think that's so interesting because it's one of the first times that it was consumer led instead of marketing led. So the companies weren't telling the people were telling the companies. And so we, just as attorneys, were like, okay, so what does this mean? And the FDA had no guidance for it. And so we looked around, and EcoCert has been in business for over 30 years. They're based in Europe, but they operate in over 100 countries. And they're the leading specialist in the certification of natural organic cosmetics. So, can you do the USDA? Yes, but you can't use many of the cosmetic ingredients. It's more food grade. And I wanted more than that.
Right.
And so I want it to be clean and natural, but I want it to be effective too. So we chose EcoCert for that. And because we didn't want to try to guess at our own standard or tell you what our standard was, we just wanted to go to something that was objective and written down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing to say it and it's a whole nother to have it proven.
It's a whole nother thing. They check you from sourcing to the end product to how you manufacture, how you clean the facility, how you market your packaging. There's no stone unturned. And they audit us physically every single year. And we passed every single year since 2013. Yay!
That's incredible. That's 11 years of passing those
Yeah.
EcoCert qualifications.
Yeah. Somebody asked me recently if I could ever do conventional products. And I was like, no, I've spent 15 years literally mastering organic formulations. I don't think I could wrap my head around something new now.
Yeah, at this point, why, right? Like,
Yeah.
clean is the standard. At this point, it's not even we talked about this, but like clean is it's just the baseline now. And to be able to have that certification really helps you confirm that truly we are actually clean, actually natural. So with the beauty industry, constantly evolving and things changing faster than absolutely ever before, how do you, continue to innovate, and continue to keep One Love Organics relevant?
So I absolutely love the research and analysis part. And going back to the trends, there's so many things that are trendy, but there are certain things that come along once in a while that you're like, okay, this really has substance behind it. Like Ectoin is a new material we're working with, and it's super impressive. It's really expensive. So that's the other thing that sometimes you don't hear about a lot of this stuff because it's price prohibitive, but not for me because, again, we don't have a contract manufacturer. So we can make it work. So that is one thing we're working on now. So I do love to really slice through what's out there, what's new, and then I start working on the formulations. And we do have an awesome consulting chemist now. We work with Kripa Kesline from KKT. And so huge shout out to her. She really helps me streamline and make things better. And we also love to have calls where we're like, do you think this really works? Do you like, we were both big in on the CBD for skincare a few years ago. And we were like, do you see any evidence that this actually works for skincare? And so those are fun things
What
to
did you
kind of
find
sit through.
out?
We don't have any products.
Oh gosh, I talked about this before on the podcast, and I remember that big push for CBD, and everybody was coming on to the bandwagon, and some people were coming on super late, like super late. One of the things that I don't think many people realize, I noticed this internally because we had a couple, maybe a handful of brands that were playing in that space, is the regulations around, I don't know, the charge processing. Like, I don't think people realize this. Like, Stripe, no PayPal, Stripe, everyone was blocking transactions from happening because they were saying it's a drug. And so even though, and I remember this one brand having their account shut down or like, paused, and they could not for the life of them for months figure out a way out, like, and through to get their charges coming through again. It was a mess. And this wasn't just one business. It was multiple businesses that I talked to that were having similar issues. So it's good to be aware of the trends, but not necessarily always jumping on it. I think what it sounds like is that you did your research, you kind of checked in and said, hey, is this really viable? Does this actually make any difference for the skin? Is this worth pursuing? And if it's not, after all the research, you are like, nope, we're not getting on the trend. Let everyone else do it.
Yes. And we did. And then we were so happy we didn't do it when all that. So my overall thing there is you got to really believe in what you're doing and have firsthand experience with it. I do have some friends that love it internally, but just topically,
Are there any trends that are current or coming up that you're genuinely excited about or curious about?
I do love slugging. I love slugging. It's where you put on all your skincare and then put a nice occlusive balm that's plant based. So I would never put, a mineral oil or petroleum on my face ever. That was part of what caused all of my issues. But if you put a nice plant-based balm on there and lock all that stuff in, your skin in the morning just feels like butter.
So if someone wanted to do that with your products, what would be the steps?
They would double cleanse. So this would be your evening routine. You would double cleanse, you would mist, you would moisturize with either a nice oil or cream, like our Skin Do coconut water cream. And then you would just put a light little warm it between your hands and finish with a light coat of Skin Savior Balm.
Okay. I feel like I need to try this.
Oh, it's so nice, especially in the winter.
Oh my, yeah, I bet, especially in the winter, dry skin, it's perfect for that. Are you, talking it up now as the winter is here and people are, skins are getting more and more dehydrated?
Yes, and I love it so much. We have a slugging kit on our website where we tell you exactly how to do it and give you a specially priced bundle, because I really started it last winter and I was like, guys, I'm really seeing results. My skin's softer than ever.
Oh my gosh, I need to do that. We have these old school radiators in our building and
Oh
in
my
our
gosh.
apartment in New York City. So I love pre-war buildings because they have so much character and history and they're built just better in my opinion. But they come with their own thing where like the radiators are on or off. Like there's no like thermostat. Like for all the people who live in co-ops, you know what I'm talking about. There's no thermostat and setting any degree. It's just on or off. So it's always on for the building, for the whole building. And so the apartments are just so drying. Like so much so that you need like humidifiers in like every part of the room. It's crazy. So this is perfect for that. Okay, so tell me more about like your version of clean. I think the clean beauty there's every single retailer has a different version of clean beauty. It seems like it's getting thrown around constantly and nobody really knows what it means. What does it mean to you?
Really just EcoCert Cosmetics. And that is because everyone does have their own standard. I'm not about to come up with another one. There are ones that exist. I like Natru. I like the Made Safe. I love EcoCert Cosmetics. Again, they started it. They're the experts. But there are other great standards. I'm not interested in putting out my own. And all the ones that are out there, they conflict. So it just adds more confusion.
How do you educate your consumers around like clean beauty and why it's beneficial to them, why it matters?
Well, that is interesting. I just worked with a lady on this to kind of zero in on why clean is so important. And she pointed out to me that really it's so great for the health of the skin and your microbiome. And I've never really thought about that before. So, all this talk of the barrier and barrier strength and building your barrier, she's like, without overwhelming it with toxic chemicals and pesticide residues and GMOs and all those things, you're really putting the simplified essence of the good stuff, like the phytochemicals from plants and the nourishment and the emollients. And you're really treating your skin barrier the best when you're using certified organic ingredients.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. That's good to know. That's
But
good to know.
in messaging, we just keep it super simple, and that we're formulating to a standard they can trust. Here it is, look it up. And that it's good for you, no worry ingredients that are more by nature non-comedogenic. So we keep it super simple.
Yeah, and I'm sure it makes it easier to be able to give people a peace of mind when you can direct them towards like that eco-certified compliance and what that actually means and kind of let them take it from there.
Yes. Yeah.
Understood. Okay. So what's your favorite product in the line, Suzanne? And tell us why.
I know. Well, I have formulated every single one of them. So it is like choosing a child because I like all of them. I'm super duper picky. My team can tell you probably the thing they dislike most about me is that I will keep churning it till I feel it's perfect. And I can churn something for a year or two before I decide it's just right. So I do drive everybody crazy with that. So when I tell you that the Botanical EI Balm is my favorite product in the line, that really means something. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I guess if anyone's watching the video, or you can look on my Instagram and see how well my eyes have been preserved for almost 51 years old.
Oh
And I've
my,
been using it
no
for 10,
way.
yeah, I've been using it for 10 plus years. And I don't have the fine lines, wrinkles, and the little crisscrosses that a lot of women my age do.
Wait, I need this product. I need to get it.
Everybody does. I'm telling you, everybody does. And then I put it around my mouth and on my lips. Your eyes and are right around your lips are the first two areas that show age. And age is just time, facial expression, and dryness. So my eyes and lips are almost never dry, but I do have a fun story, and I don't think she'll listen to this podcast, but a good friend of mine from college came down and had dinner with me. We had not seen each other in a few years, and she told me that she went home and told her mom, she said, her eye area looks amazing, and my eye area looks tired and wrinkly. And she said, well, she told you to use that balm 10 years ago. You should have.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure now she's regretting it. Maybe she could start now.
She has started now. Yeah.
Okay, good.
No time like the
Uh,
present.
Absolutely. So I actually shy away from eye cream. I have them in my, vanity, but I shy away from them because even when you put them around the eye and not like near the eye, the cream somehow gets into my eye and irritates my eye because I wear contacts. So it, in some way, because of my contacts, you wear glasses, but do you know, like, do you have any kind of take on this or perspective on this in terms of like contact wearers?
Absolutely. So you're talking about a cream, not a balm. A balm is waterless. So water and the cream will travel your eye shaped concave. So when you put it on, it will travel backwards. The balm is more likely to stay right in place because it's thicker. And mine has pomegranate and sterol, so it's sticky. It's kind of sticky, which draws water from the air to your eye area to plump it up, but it also keeps it in place.
Okay. I'm sold.
Yeah.
This wasn't even like meant to, we're not trying to like schlep products here, but this is amazing.
I love it. It's my favorite.
I love that. Okay. So wanted to kind of dive into entrepreneurship, and you kind of started this business without being like, hey, I'm going to start this big business and exit it in 5-10 years. You had products that you were making that you had a need for, and then kind of just naturally grew from there, and you were having fun with it. But tell me, like, what are some of the toughest lessons that you've learned as a beauty entrepreneur over the last 15 years?
Oh, wow. It's a lot about resilience. I will just say that you have to have a lot of resilience and faith to keep going, even when the future feels uncertain. It's about showing up every day, sometimes for absolutely no return, and staying connected to your purpose, even when the path isn't clear. So I would definitely say this is not for everybody for a million reasons. I literally have 1,000,001 reasons to tell you why not to do this. But if you love it and you're obsessed with it and you genuinely want to help people, so I do think the people that come into this with a plan to get a bunch of money and grow it to this and sell it for X, I will find something else to do. This is too hard.
I 1,010% agree. It's actually the first step we always do inside C2C is we go through like the values, the why, and like we go deep on them. And it's funny because every once in a while I'll have someone that goes through these exercises and they'll be like, yeah, I'm just going to apply this to a different business. And they do. And then they end up being successful in other different business that they decided to pursue. But that really kind of gets people, it connects you immediately with like, is this real? Is this authentic? Am I doing this for the impact, good reasons, the purpose reasons, or is this just a money grab situation? Because it'll be very challenging to grow something in that event.
I feel very lucky that never crossed my mind. I started a law practice and knew that I would spend my life advising and helping people to make my living. I knew that. This was just more interesting and fulfilling to me, but I never thought for a second that this wouldn't be a lifelong vocation for me. that this would be something I did until I retired. And now my kids are interested in it. So I would love to pass it on to them with the same thought and care. I never even knew or thought people got into this to sell it and make a bunch of money and, retire early. So I'm not disappointed, I can say, because I got what I thought I would get, a good job. I have a good job that I enjoy. I show up for work every day. I give it my absolute all. And I feel like I give what I get back.
I love that. It loves you if you love it. Would you ever sell the business? I know you and I have talked about this, but would you ever sell the business?
I don't have any plans to. I don't have any plans to. I think, you and I have both seen that when you sell it, it's a different business then.
Absolutely.
And at least during my lifetime, that would make me sad. And I don't know if I would want my name then associated with it. So again, not ever having entered it for the money, I just don't think that would be. Now, I might get disabled or die, and you see One Love being sold. So you never say never again because I'm a planner.
Of
But
course.
yeah.
Of course. So one thing I want to touch on, because you went through this 2008 recession. How did you get through it?
Well, that's a whole nother story. My husband and I were actually real estate closing attorneys. That was the bulk of our business. And the housing industry shriveled up overnight. That's part of what gave me some time and freedom to do One Love. So I have been through in my life a complete halt. The second I thought was going to be COVID, that ended up being the best year we ever had because
Yeah.
everybody was sitting home doing skincare.
Yeah.
So we plan the best we can for all of those personally. And because 2008 was a pivotal time for my husband and I both. We live in a small community and we saw so many people crash and burn like you wouldn't believe, and some in their 50s and 60s. It left a lasting impression on me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Okay. So tell me more about, you said you come to work every day, you're grateful, you feel like you have the best job. How do you, keep your team also motivated, especially during challenging times? Like, how do you keep them going?
So we try to, I'm all about communication. I love communication. So we try to be upfront, honest, and then I try to do fun team building things. Like tomorrow, we're going to a Christmas lunch to play top golf in the afternoon. And so we try to have like quarterly activities where we get together and talk about things. And, you know, really just again, transparency with them. I think your customer wants transparency, but so does your team.
What does that look like? Because I think people talk about transparency, and what does that actually look like on a granular level? Like, how transparent are you with team members?
Well, so for example, COVID, we went to them and was like, hey, we don't know what's coming down the pipeline. This has never been experienced before. But we do, through my financial planning, we have enough to get you through this year. So let's just stay and work hard. You don't have any worries as far as all of 2020. 2021, we'll have to see. But in lieu of some of the fancier, flashier things that people do, I have a cash reserve and I got your back. So
Oh,
if you need
wow. There's
something,
nothing
let
more
me
powerful
know.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So
That's
that's
so powerful.
transparency. And then the other thing is we have never paid anyone less than $15 an hour. There's all this talk about a living wage and support a living wage. Well, do you pay a living wage? I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't need any lawmaker to tell me that. I don't need for anything to change. I'm going to do the right thing.
Right. Oh, so you must have people that stick around with you for years.
Yes, we don't have high turnover, which leads to product consistency and quality. So it's just so worth
It all
it.
goes together. It's
It
like
all
there's this
goes
one.
together.
Actually, let me ask you. So, what is the value that's driving these choices and decisions and behaviors? Because there's usually like one or two main values.
Well, I mean, we got our name One Love because we are genuinely connected. I mean, we really are. You can't, if you treat someone poorly, they're going to go home and treat their kid poorly. That kid's going to go to school the next day and treat your kid poorly. It literally is a cycle.
Right.
And
That's
someone
true.
has to stop the cycle and be like, I'm going to treat you like I want to be treated. Like, genuinely do it. Don't just say it.
Ah, I love that so much. My husband's like that, where he's always reminding like our kids, like, hey, he's always shifting it on them, like, hey, how would you like that? Like, how would you feel if someone did that to you? Or, yeah, like he's always kind of shifting that perspective. So I appreciate that.
And Aggie, I do just want to say one more thing on that. It truly does pay off. And it's, again, a long game decision. It's not short term planning, it's long term. And I've always told my kids the same thing is like, hey, you don't know what somebody went through last night at their house. You don't know their situation. Be kind to everybody. And I went Christmas shopping yesterday in a boutique, and a kid was there that was close to my oldest son's age. They're both 19. And Aggie, he helped me pick out a Christmas present for my son. And he told me that my son is the nicest guy, that he always remembered his name and spoke to him. And he has never seen him treat anyone disrespectfully. And I almost had to leave the store tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes
So
you so emotional.
it really is worth it, even if in the short term you're like, no one ever gives back to me. People treat me like crap. This is not worth it. I'm PO'd. It is worth it.
Yeah,
Long game.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Long game always. I love that. I love that reminder, like long game, long game, long game. So if you had to give advice to someone starting their own beauty brand today, what would that advice be besides long game?
Beside the long game would be to build a serious business plan and look at it. A lot of people don't know that One Love was originally conceived as a baby line. I wanted to help babies, and I wanted the, most gentle certified organic skincare for babies. But then when I did a business plan, I realized I would be getting entirely new customers every 2 years.
See, that fact that you know that is so smart. Like the fact that you had that cognizance of like, so what was it that was part of that business plan that gave you that conclusion?
Well, okay, so I realized I would have to get new customers every 2 years, which would be a challenging and more expensive. But then I did a
How did
few,
you realize that?
well, just doing research and just coming to the conclusion of, hey, after 2 or 3, these kids are going to be using something else. And I started doing small group research. And this still blows my mind to this day, but the moms were more interested in stuff for them than their kids. They wanted to know what they could use for their melasma, their stretch marks. And they came to me, which is fine, with their issues. And so then I realized they were seeking solutions more for themselves.
And they're the ones that are buying it at the end of the day, whether it's for baby, for themselves, or for family, they're the ones that are buying it.
Yes. So in the beginning, we again have had everything dermatologist tested for ages 3 and up. So we just kind of went with the everyone in your family can use this from 3 and up. Like you can stick the Easy Does it in the shower, you can stick the Skin Savior on the counter. So we do have a lot of younger people using this, but I just realized the baby aspect was going to be tough. So
Absolutely. Again, long
start
game.
with your business plan and work
Yeah.
every piece out. Do some test group. Do some markets. See what people will buy. Because that's exactly what I did. I invited people over to my house, new moms like me, and the baby stuff stayed over here untouched, and the stuff for them sold out.
See, there you go. I love that. Okay, tell me more about. Okay, I want to go down the route of retailers. What was your first like major retailer?
Well, it was and is Blue Mercury.
Amazing. What has allowed you to stay in there? Go ahead.
Well, let me tell you at the beginning, because this was when there wasn't a lot of natural and organic brands out there. So we did have a lot of interest from retailers off the bat. And I was in the first round of Sephora Accelerants. I was one of 8. And that was a really eye-opening experience. They took us through a boot camp of showing how everything worked, like the capital you would need, the resources, the chargebacks, the marketing part that you would, I mean, if you don't know any of that stuff, it was literally overwhelming. And so going with Sephora at the time felt too risky. And because especially we didn't want to bring on investors, we still don't have investors. So after the Sephora experience or during that time, we were approached by really all the big retailers. So I did some secret shopping to see who would actually be a partner with us and would treat their customers more like we do. And it ended up being Blue Mercury.
How did you do the secret shopping?
Just going in stores and asking for help and seeing what I got. Did they push things on me? Did they listen to me? Were they just selling me the most expensive stuff? You know, yeah. So I wanted to partner with a retailer because, as you know, it's not just about being chosen by the retailer, it's finding one that you can stay in for the long term. So we have been in Blue Mercury for 8 years. We've been in Credo since Credo started. We've been in Heyday since Heyday started, Detox Market since they started. So all of our retailers are long term, and they're people who are at least willing to understand or work with us on our size and strength and ability to participate in all the marketing stuff.
Yeah, so actually, let me ask you about that. So, how have you stayed in them for so long and knowing that you aren't VC backed when the majority of the other brands that are in those retailers are VC backed? How do you stay in there and compete?
So we've been able to get a lot of our products in the staff hands and they genuinely love them. So again, it just goes back to product strength. And I would say that to anyone starting out is, do you really have something that is knock your socks off different or amazing, or the quality? You got to really have something for it to stand out. So we've always tried to gift and educate the staff on that just so they can get to know us and love us. Again, word of mouth, just like our business. One person recommends, particularly like the bee cleansing oil, and then it kind of goes from there. And then we do try to stay active on Instagram to do Instagram lives, answer your questions, do product recommendations, and then tell you where the local retailers are.
Amazing. And would you say that, well, actually with the gifting for the staff and the team members, how often do you do that?
Probably once a year. I mean, again, our budget is small. It's not something we can do all the time, but we'll try to partner with the buyer or the educator and, do something once a year to get
To get that interest of all the, what about when someone new, like a new salesperson comes in, do you then kind of do like an intro package with them, or do you wait till that once a year period of time?
once a year. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the turnover in retail is amazing. So we're just too small to keep up with that.
Yeah, for sure. And then you mentioned being one of amongst the group, of course, the first cohort of the Sephora Accelerator. I'm curious to know, were they right on the advice they gave you, given that they're coming from a perspective of, most of the time, they never started a business. They're not bootstrapping their business. They're working with a lot of bigger brands that are, have funding. Would you say there were things that they were right on, wrong on as a result?
What I took away from that is that unless we wanted huge investor input and capital, it was not going to be the right fit for us. I learned a lot from the experience. It was intensive. We were out there, I think, 1 week and 1 week full, working nonstop. So, I mean, we learned a lot about, probably the biggest takeaway I had personally was how to get customer input and feedback. And that's how we made our Skin Dew coconut water cream, is through the process they told us about, asking, revising, that kind of thing. But the biggest takeaway when I walked away was, unless we want to be investor owned, it was not the right fit for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense. They're, massive retailer and, you found other ways to grow your business. So actually, what are those other ways? Obviously, you sell on DTC, but is there, would you say that there's one or two things that you can say, this is what really works for us?
We have done emails from the start. And we try
Your
to make
emails are
sure,
amazing.
thank you. We try to make sure that they're informative and what people want to know, like specials or tips or changing your routine or just little things like that. So I would definitely say email. And then again, I would say that high touch customer service. We really take care of you and will answer your questions and listen to you and not leave you hanging.
So email, customer service. Boom.
Yes.
You've heard it here first. So, and tell me, like, was there ever like I mean, you've had many, but was there one top of mind pinch me moment in the history of your business?
I mean, I would just go back to that Rachel's moment. Nothing has compared to that. It was insane. It crashed our whole website. Like, it was so fun. And again,
How did you get the website back up?
I mean, we had to call the guy that put it up and he had to add extra stuff to the server, whatever it was. And I liquidated my IRA. I mean, I can't even believe I did that. I guess I was just too young to have the fear, But that week, essentially, that money back, not into my IRA. I had to use it to keep the business going. But that was just the biggest pinch me moment.
That's incredible. I love that you shared that because I feel like, even somebody like you who's a financial planner, you still made that bold move because you're like, I got to do this. I got to keep the business alive. I got to keep it going. We have orders coming in. Like, we got to make this work. Amazing. Tell me, so what's the future for One Love Organics? Are there any new product launches coming out, partnerships, or any new initiatives coming up?
Really fun things I've been working on for a few years. I mean, much learning something. I have been refining these for a few years. They should, at least two of them, come out in 2025. And they're certified organic, but I'm actually seeing the best results I've ever seen. Like, I've taken before and after pictures, and I'm like, okay, this is the real deal. So just stay tuned for 2025.
Okay. Can we give any hints or no?
It's a great night cream. I mean, really great.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So tell me more about, like, if you could give one piece of advice to Suzanne when she was starting this business, what would it be?
Take it one step at a time, one step at a time, day by day, with faith and loving what you do.
That's incredible. So one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed by all the flashy, fancy things. I find that a lot of founders get distracted. How did you not get distracted?
Oh, I do. Totally do. And so I do want to tell all the people out there who are interested in starting a business, not chase all of that stuff. I can't tell you one like must have thing that works. It really just is about consistency. It's about showing up every day and doing your job. There is no magic when people start talking about the RO and all this stuff. I mean, I haven't ever seen it, and I've been doing this for 15 years.
How do you stay consistent? Because that's hard. I mean, 15 years of staying consistent. Even like social media, how do you stay consistent?
And I don't know. That just might be my personality. I'm a pretty consistent person, pretty reliable. I don't know what to tell you. I just am, like, on the weekends for fun. I like to go walking and do puzzles. Like, I'm super low key and consistent.
Oh, it's interesting because in some ways you are the opposite of what perhaps a typical entrepreneur would be, right? But on the other hand, you're also the epitome of what a good entrepreneur could be. And I hate using the word should, but it's like, because typically, entrepreneurs are idea, do this, do that. Let me try this flash thing, new thing. And we're constantly coming up with new ideas. And yet, while you do like and are, as you mentioned, you do notice the new ideas or new trends, you at the end of the day, you're consistent. And because of that consistency, it allows you to create that thread, that very, very strong rope or thread throughout the entirety of the business.
Yeah, and I don't know how to tell someone to do that exactly.
It's hard, yeah. But it's great that you have that skill. And tell us, like, how and where can people find you?
Online. Obviously, that's the best way to shop. When you buy from a brand directly, it's super supportive and you get it fresh from our warehouse. But also, a lot of the retailers right now, retail can be tougher than ever. So I really believe in all the retailers that we're in. So I like those as well. And if you're going to try anything, we're known for the cleansing oil, but I love the EI bomb. So there's your two picks.
That's incredible. And slugging too,
And
in the slugging
slugging,
kit.
that's right. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. This has been fantastic. I've loved learning even more about One Love Organics. It's such an incredible brand. Before working with you, I had heard many amazing things about the brand for years. And it's just like a tried and true and stable and a staple in people's routines. Once they have you in their routines, they don't let go. So super stoked for that. And thank you again. Thanks for coming
Yeah.
on the
Thank
show.
you, Aggie.
All right. Talk to you soon. Until next time, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review. We would so appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Beauty and the Brand podcast. Bye, everyone.